What's good, YouTube and Rumble? This is Jason of Auglitical. I swing through the politics so you don't drown too. Now, because YouTube has been very funny as they are the overseers of what's truth, what's not truth, what's offensive, what's not offensive, and what belongs on their site and what doesn't belong on their site, even if you've done nothing to go against the guidelines. I would just like to take a little moment to say that my views on trans people is not all trans people are bad people. Not all trans people are violent. There's a lot of trans people that just want to live their lives. And it's crazy that I have to say this every single time that I do a video because easily I'll have somebody try to take my words out of context and say, oh, I'm a homophobe or a transphobe and all of this stuff, like as though I'm running for the hills when I see these people. Well, probably where I live, yeah. Probably in the area where I live, yeah, because they tend to be fucking crazy. But without further ado, let's cover this story. So we're pulling this off of Redux. I actually really do enjoy reading Redux articles, and it kind of puts me out of my comfort zone because they're feminists. Feminists are bad. And yet these ones seem to have a brain on their heads. They seem to be critical. They align with a lot of stuff that I believe in, but I'm pretty sure eventually, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend until they become my enemy by saying something stupid. But until then, I mess with Redux. Let's just say it like that. I mess with Redux for now. Man who slaughtered family over gender dysphoria now marked as a female in main prison system. So already we're off to a bad start. So slaughtered family over gender dysphoria now marked as a female in main prison system. Now the reason why this is such a problem is because you are putting somebody who's first off, the prison system is where bad people go. In the most simplest terms, people who are bad should go to prison, right? But the problem is now you have somebody who is a murderer, convicted murderer, right? Convicted murderer going into a prison with other females, right? We see this all the time. And it's like either make a prison for these individuals to stay in on their own, but don't put them with the most vulnerable because even though they are female criminals, right? What's to say from the looks of it, this looks like a heavier fellow, right? So you got the women that go to prison for doing horrible things, but there a lot of them are dainty little things, and all of a sudden, and I guarantee you, still got their penis, dick, and balls, penis, dick, and balls. Like there's two different things. No, I guess the penis is yeah, still got all their parts. All of a sudden, women are now getting pregnant in the prison system. All right, let's read by Andrew Beauclair. I don't know how to say that. A man who claimed his motivation for slaughtering his family was their lack of support. I'm sorry, a man who claimed his motivation for slaughtering his family was their lack of support for his transgender identity has been quietly marked as female in the main prison system and has been transferred to a mixed sex facility where he is likely being housed with women. Andrew Blacar, who goes also by the name Andrea, was 1 month shy of his 18th birthday when he murdered his mother, father, and family dog on Halloween night 2016. According to reports at the time, Ballard, how do you say this? Bowser had woken his mother and told her that he was having trouble sleeping. Alice Bowser asked her son if he was having a rough night and embraced him. And while she was attempting to soothe him, he stabbed her in the back 9 times. Balsa went to murder his father, Antonio, and their pet chihuahua Lily. The only member of the family Balsa spared was his older brother, whom he allowed to flee after telling him it's not his day. Balsa reportedly laughed while describing his crimes to a police officer, with a young man calling 911 on himself to confess his crimes. Yeah, that's a woman, all right. Sure. I snapped. I took the little K bar military combat knife there and I drove it straight into my mother's back, Balser said. My father came up because he heard her screams and I stabbed the fuck out of him. Oh, I killed the dog too, it was barking. During the years long court proceedings, Balser's attorney cited his family's lack of support for his gender transition as a motive for the crime. But just days before he was scheduled to plead guilty, Balser abruptly began accusing his mother and father of physical and sexual abuse. Disturbingly, Balser claimed his mother had molested him. had molested him when he was just between the ages of 14 and 16. The shocking allegations were vehemently detained by his older brother, who rejected the entire claim. No, 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 no. This is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. The man would never have laid a hand on either of us, Christopher Balser said during an interview on the accusations. At the sentences hearing, Balser's older brother asked the judge not to show any leniency on sentencing him, calling him a remorseless murderer. He also drafted a heart wrenching victim impact statement and read it out in court, calling Balser an inhuman creature, and once again rejecting Balser's claims of having been abused. I still hear our dearest mother scream every night as I fall asleep. Every morning as I awaken, they echo in my head. Her screams, as she was stabbed by the son she doted on so much, the son she only wanted the world for, and would accept nothing less. I remember the foul things you accuse her of, and the looks of horror upon the family faces as they heard about them. You are an inhuman creature, and the fact that you continue to pretend otherwise sickened me. Even extended family came forward to take issue with Balser's claim. His uncle, Carl Pierce, disputed the motive that Balser hadn't been accepted by his parents and called it an insult to the LGBTQ community. He addressed his nephew's crimes while using feminine pronouns in his preferred name. Boy, listen, you just killed how many people out of the... Well, you killed the dog, you killed your own father, you killed your own mother. You got family members still using the correct pronouns. Now, I hate to break it to you. The only way I will use your preferred pronouns if you decide that you want to throw away your gender, right? I only do that to be nice to you. I don't have to do that. In a situation where you done killed family members being a goddamn menace to society, I'm disrespecting the fuck out of you, period. I will listen. I'm going to drag out your name. What is this person's name? I forgot what this person's name is. What was it? Andrea? What was it? What is it? Andrea? What is it? Andrew. Yeah, I listen. Andrew was a murderer. He is a piece of shit. He deserves to stay where he can rot. Like, I would be violating. Are you kidding me? But they're using the pronouns. Like, man, listen. There was no hatred. There was no malice. There was no ill will. There was resignation, to be sure, but ultimately there was acceptance. To justify these killings because of sexual identity or gender dysphoria believes a truly cowardly act. Andrew should be ashamed of himself, Pierce said. Balser pleaded guilty under agreement that capped his sentence to 55 years. The presiding judge took his age, lack of criminal record, and good grades into account as mitigating factors, but refused to consider his claim of gender dysphoria, saying other young people face the same struggles and it shouldn't be used as an excuse for murder. Balser was sentenced to 40 years in prison on December 4, 2018, and incarcerated at the Maine State Prison, a maximum security facility for men. While Balser was initially recorded as a male in the Maine Department of Corrections directory, he is now listed as a female inmate and has been moved to a Maine Correctional Center, MCC, in Windham to medium to minimum facility. So let me get this straight. So you got a person who is willing to kill his own goddamn parents because he feels gender dysphoria out of no acceptance. So if he's willing to stab up the mother, stab up the father, stab the chihuahua. Now, first and foremost, the chihuahua was just low-hanging fruit, right? I don't like small dogs, but damn, you killed the chihuahua, bro. The chihuahua always barking. That's actually why chihuahuas exist. Real quick history lesson for people who don't know. Small dogs are useless, but they do have one good feature. The feature is they bark. They're loud and they bark. So back in the day, back in medieval times, a man would give his lover the small dog, and she would be like, "Oh, it's so cute," and she would take this ugly, disgusting-eyed dog with her, and she would keep the dog with her. And the one thing that the dog does is bark. So whenever another person would come around her that the dog didn't know, what did the dog do? It barked. It alarmed people, right? So this was how they made sure that homegirl was doing the right by the guy. I guess that's whatever. At least that's the story that goes. So that's all small dogs are used for. I hate small dogs, but that's really what it is. But again, you put somebody like this, A person who killed his mother, his father, and the dog, right? Now understand, I'm pretty sure the only reason why he didn't kill his older brother, right, was because his older brother was probably able to fight back. Probably would have just dipped, right? Probably would have just dipped. The father probably older, the mother probably older. Well, 18. I don't know how old the mother was. They didn't say the age, but again, probably easy targets, right? But again, in a situation where now you're in a prison with other women, just saying. Uh Balser, now 24, is described on his MDOC profile as being 6'1" and 245 pounds. So yeah, most women don't even hit 140, bro. So easily he's twice her weight. The altercation made to his legal sex suggests he is now being housed with female inmates at MCC. Freedom of Access Act's requests to the Maine Department of Corrections went unfulfilled, with the department citing confidentially. Hold on, I'm working. Confidentiality issues. See, got it. When asked to confirm that Balser is now housed with female inmates and to specify the exact date he was transferred to the Maine Correctional Center, they have not responded to a second request asking them to cite the confidentiality statutes, which prevent them from sharing this information. Bowser's transfer was likely the result of legislation signed into law last year related to the housing of transgender inmates. All right. A bill sponsored by Rep. Charlotte Warren, requires Maine prisons to respect and acknowledge an incarcerated person's consistently held gender identity, irrespective of autonomy and physique. So what you are saying is that the place in prison where you lose your rights, we gotta respect their gender identity rights that they just make up on the fly to get better benefits. And okay, you see, and this is the reason why they sit there and they say, "Oh, should people in prison should be able to vote?" No, no. When you are listen, I feel like as though people that go to prison and it's not like they're not convicted, they just go to jail or something like that. Sure, right? But people who are convicted for violent crimes and murderers, they should have all of the rights taken away just as much as, I don't know, the rights that they took away from the deceased that they fucking brutally murdered. Common sense. Man, listen. Imagine a person in prison getting more rights than people outside of prison. This shit crazy. Um, the law specifies that housing placements must align with the inmate's stated gender and identity, unless doing so would present significant management or security problems. Oh, I don't know, probably like being a fucking dude with other small, dainty females and having a violent past. Okay. Or threaten the health and safety of an inmate. The Maine's Women's Lobby, the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and the ACLU of Maine all sent representatives to the Maine legislature to testify in support of LD 1044. None of their testimony mentioned any potential risks to the female inmates who would be housed with male convicts. According to the Vero Institute of Justice, 86 of incarcerated women in the United States are survivors of sexual violence. Incarcerated women in other states with prison self-identification policies have reported experiencing trauma when forced to share confined spaces with male inmates, and some have described being subjected to sexual harassment, physical threats, and sexual assaults. Some incarcerated women have even stated they have been penalized for complaining about the behavior of males transferred into their facilities. Like Balser, another violent male inmate currently incarcerated at the Maine State Prison, may be classified as a female inmate and transferred. Walter Moore, who now calls himself Nikki Natasha Petrovokov, killed a woman in 2020 by tying her between two trees and slitting her trees. What the fuck? Killed a woman in 2020. Killed a woman in 2002 by tying her between two trees and slitting her wrist and throat. Moore sued the MDOC in 2016, demanded to be seen by a doctor specializing in gender dysphoria and given hormone replacement therapy. At the time, he threatened that if he had to spend the rest of his life in a men's prison, he would severely harm himself. Do it, pussy. You want one? Do it. What? Again, who cares? Who cares? You care more about feelings than actually doing what the penal system was and put in place in the first place. Nobody wants anybody to die, but did he give a fuck when he, I don't know, tied a woman between two fucking trees? First and foremost, do you know how powerful you would have to be to actually be able to tie a person up to a tree? Right? Just how much stronger you would have to be that that person would not be able to fight back. At least this is what's in my head right now, is that this person attacked her, probably beat the hell out of this woman and tied him to a tree, because at no point would a woman just stop unless he tricked her into tying her to a tree. So let's just say whatever. Slit her wrist and her fucking throat, and we're upset that he wants to kill himself, so we put him in a prison with women, biological women. That makes fucking sense. Yo, everybody in the courts, everybody in the justice system, they need to go, bro. In 2018, the prison began providing more with HRT, although he remained unsatisfied with the type and dosage. A federal judge ruled in 2019 that his lawsuit was moot, as he was receiving the requested treatment. As of today, Moore is still listed on the MOD website as a male and incarcerated in the men's state prison, but that may change as abruptly as Balsar. So hopefully he stays where the fuck he stays. It's always crazy, the ones who commit the most violent crimes, they do it because they can't be women. So they do all that they can do to try to become women. It's dangerous and it's scary. It shouldn't be this way. But anyway, guys, that's all for this article. Let me know what you think. Do you think that they should stay in male prisons? Do you think that they should belong in female prisons? Or do you think that maybe they should, I don't know, build a prison for those people? Those trans individuals. Why not? It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just build another prison. Just like you want to fix housing, build more houses. How about this? Instead of just not only building more houses, how about you take all of those buildings that they don't rent, because you have a lot of buildings in places that have homeless problems where they don't rent these places out. They leave them, they don't list them on purpose because they don't want individuals in there, right? There you go, problem solved. Instead of putting all this extra shit and skipping all these damn hoops, and just do that. I mean, that's what I would do. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace.